Good afternoon. What an absolute honor it is to have the opportunity to speak at Commencement. While finishing my degree, when motivation would be hard to find, I'd often watch WGU graduation ceremonies on social media, and I'd find myself in tears at the thought of experiencing that soon. I'm overwhelmed and so incredibly grateful to have this opportunity. Thank you in advance for listening to my story. My name is Brandi Ash. I'm a mother of 3 children, Sydney, Maddie, and Jake. I've been happily married to my very best friend, Danny, for 15 years. I'm a full-time employee, a volunteer in my community, a sports mom, an avid fan of the TV show The Office. Yep. I'm a cancer survivor, a daughter, sister, thank you, aunt and friend, and until now, a quitter. See, I knew the importance to finishing my degree. It was a goal of mine for many years. For as long as I can remember, my father, who was the smartest man I've ever known despite his 8th grade education, would repeatedly tell me that an education was something that no one could take away from me. But despite his lack of formal education, it was a desire he planted in my heart at a very young age. But regardless of my goals, anytime I'd start to make traction towards my degree, I'd quit. I'd make excuses about not having time to finish or not being smart enough to finish, and I'd allow those doubts to creep into my mind, and over again, I'd walk away from my goals. After multiple failed attempts at being an adult learner, 5 other colleges to be exact, I sat at my desk at work 15 short months ago, and I had a little midlife crisis. I realized I was 38 years old, I wasn't getting any younger, and I had failed my family, I had failed my dad, and I had failed myself. I felt panic, disappointment, and an overwhelming sense of urgency that if I was ever going to do it, it was now or never. A coworker mentioned her success at WGU, and the rest is history. In the 15 months I attended WGU, I had 2 huge career changes. Actually, we can make that 3. This week I was offered my dream job at the best elementary school in America, Louisville East Elementary. Thank you to Ed Dixon, Angel Deerfield, and Jeremy Block for your mentorship. And thank you to my Heavenly Father, who is always faithful. In my 15 months, I attended every one of my kids' sporting events. I had a major surgery. I lost my precious father-in-law to a very unexpected illness. I celebrated my last birthday in my 30s. I squeezed in a few date nights, very needed, with my sweet husband, and I completed nearly 100 college credit hours. Thank you. I met 2 of the best program mentors, Parrish Monk, who talked me off the ledge multiple times when I wanted to quit, and Whitney Bennington, who's here with me today, who cheered with me as I crossed the finish line. I met instructors like Hilda Black, who convinced me I'm not nearly as bad at math as I thought I was. In my 15 months at WGU, I watched my children and my husband believe in me when I couldn't believe in myself. I learned a lot about economics and business law, but most importantly, I learned what happens when I don't quit. Sadly, my dad passed away in 2017, and he didn't get to see his advice come to fruition. But with me tonight, along with the rest of my family, is my nearly 80-year-old mom, who believes just as strongly in the power of an education as he did. Mom, I remember your late nights when you sat at the kitchen table studying for your CNA license in a season when you lost your dad and your sister and were caring for your terminally ill mom. You were my first example of perseverance, and you were always right. So now I stand with you in my home state of Kentucky, the week of my 40th birthday, a first-generation college graduate. I will leave with you the Chinese proverb that greatly shifted my focus. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. Congratulations on planting your trees, fellow graduates.